Welcome to Footprints of the Past. If you love tracing the hidden steps that actually built our modern world, you are exactly in the right place. Go ahead and hit that like button, share this explainer with your fellow history buffs, and drop a comment below to support the journey. Today, we're exploring a name that literally echoes through time. A name with a reputation that's, well, it's as heavy as it is absolutely terrifying. In the pages of history, if you mention the name that makes people fear the most, the name Genghis Khan is always at the top. I mean, it's completely true, isn't it? We've all heard the blood-soaked myth. We picture this terrifying conqueror just sweeping across the Eurasian plains, leaving absolutely nothing but dust and destruction in his wake. It's a dark, super cinematic image, and history books have basically drilled it into our heads. But what if that intimidating reputation is actually burying the real story? See, we're constantly sold the myth of a fearsome, completely ruthless warrior. But the reality is actually fascinating. Genghis Khan was, in a lot of ways, the architect of early globalization. Beneath that brutal conqueror facade is a strategic mastermind who quite literally laid the foundational infrastructure for our interconnected modern world. Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, the first globalizer. Section 2, orphan to great Khan. Let's look at where this all started. You know, his story doesn't begin with a shiny crown, a massive army, or any kind of royal privilege. It begins with absolute nothingness. Born as Temujin, he was abandoned as an orphan on the incredibly unforgiving Eurasian steppes. He wasn't handed a sprawling empire. He spent his youth fighting daily for pure survival, using literally nothing but his sheer wit and adaptability. As he moved into adulthood, he completely transformed from a rugged survivor into this masterful organizer. He started bringing together these fractured, constantly warring nomadic tribes. And finally, at his absolute zenith, he pulled off the impossible. He was crowned the great Khan of the newly unified Mongol people. It was exactly this incredibly harsh personal reality that forged his razor-sharp, highly strategic mind. Which brings us to Section 3, the Yam Information Network. Genghis Khan's ultimate secret weapon wasn't just swords and horses. It was the Yam System. This was a super sophisticated network of relay stations and fresh horse riders. It was essentially the ancient world's internet. Think about it. Just as we rely on servers, fiber optics, and instant data today to keep things running, Genghis Khan totally understood that his army's invincibility relied on data and rapid communication just as much as it relied on brute force. It was a brilliant prototype for all modern logistics. And the sheer, mind-boggling scale of this operation? We're talking thousands of kilometers. I mean, just imagine trying to manage a highly coordinated military campaign across the massive expanse of Eurasia without a smartphone. Because of the Yam system, a critical military message could travel hundreds of miles in a single day. This unprecedented speed allowed Genghis Khan to accurately command troops across immense distances, completely outmaneuvering enemies who were still stuck relying on slow, super outdated methods of communication. Moving right along to Section 4, Pax Mongolica. So the crucial point here is understanding Pax Mongolica, which translates to the Mongol peace. By uniting the East and West under single ironclad rule, the Mongol Empire brought an era of unprecedented safety and stability to Eurasia. Seriously, for the first time in human history, this massive cultural divide between Europe and Asia was bridged by unified governments. And that completely paved the way for massive global shifts that we are quite literally still feeling today. Which leads us perfectly into Section 5, the Silk Road Reborn. Because of that guaranteed safe passage across the transcontinental Silk Road, a sheer explosion of cultural exchange followed. Revolutionary goods just began flowing freely between continents. We saw the direct transfer of world-altering technologies, things like gunpowder and the compass, moving from east to west, innovations that would fundamentally shape modern navigation and geopolitics. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the philosophical exchange. Genghis Khan actually championed wide-open religious tolerance. No way, right? But it's true. He allowed entirely different philosophies and faiths to mix, mingle, and safely coexist right across his massive empire. And finally, Section 6, a legacy of connection. His footprints are connections, not just conquests. The reality of Genghis Khan is so much more complex and globally significant than that bloody myth we all know. To put it simply, the true footprints of his past aren't just trails of destruction. They are the profound, lasting connections he forged. He shrank the globe. He proved that massive, totally distinct cultures could communicate, trade, and share world-changing ideas through a unified system. In a very real way, he built the very framework of the interconnected world we live in right now. So, whose footprint should we trace next? What historical figure do you want to see explained? Make sure to hit that subscribe button, drop your requested figures in the comments below, and keep your curiosity alive. Thanks so much for learning with me today, and I will see you in the next episode.